I am trying to get ready to join your chat channel. Meanwhile, why don't you invite your friends, relatives and families? Don't hesitate to share the information at your social media channels and also send SMS message via WhatsApp Telegram Signal.
With such a situation, my strong advice for all the companies is to treat this incident as a data breach.
Let it go all these level and then see the people who really is. And it is a very interesting discovery, because then you discover not only that people, you discover a lot of things about yourself.
So I found a nice program. It's called EIT Digital. And basically in the program, you select 2 universities among like top universities in Europe, and you study something related to IT. It also has a minor in entrepreneurship.
Yes, right now we will join to Russia, to St. Petersburg, to meet Konstantin Tiazhelnikov. Did I pronounce correctly?
It's okay. Don't try to pronounce my second name correctly. Many people are struggling with that, actually, so I got used. That's okay.
Can you correct me so we know on the record so I can repeat later on?
Actually, it's the sound J, Tiazhelnikov.
Tiazhelnikov. Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah.
So Konstantin is actually a privacy lawyer and a manager, and today I have questions about his expertise. There are too many data leakages, data breaches, and I would like to get his perspective what companies should do when they notice that there is a data breach and what should be done. Can you please give us some examples, Konstantin?
Before I go a little bit deeper into details, I just remember that I have been recently interviewed by Swiss Cyber Forum, and I was asked about trends in privacy and data protection that we should expect in 2021 and beyond. And one of the things I mentioned is that we should expect an increasing number of high-profile data breaches and data leakages worldwide. And this is actually what we see now. This is actually what we see now. Sorry?
Why? How could you able to see that?
Actually, we already can see that. Just let's take, for example, data leakage that is suffered by Facebook or by LinkedIn. It is still unclear now, are there data breaches actually or just data leakages? Both Facebook and LinkedIn denied suffering data breaches, but anyway.
Can I ask before we go? Because not everybody knows. What is the difference between data leakage and data breach?
Actually, data breach, first of all, it's a legal term, and data breach always a breach of security. Of course, not every breach of security is a data breach, but every data breach is entirely a breach of security. Yeah, data leakage is I would say that's a more social notion, more social term. We just say data leakage when we imply that some data that must be, of course, under security, they are appeared online or somewhere in a public area. so it becomes publicly available.
Perfect. You were giving examples. Can you continue with examples? You said Facebook.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. So, what about Facebook and LinkedIn now? As we all know, investigations are now conducted by DPAs of the EU member states, and it is still unclear whether or not it was a data breach or just a data leakage. Both corporations have denied suffering data breach, but where the truth, I think we still don't know. And actually speaking, to go on with the topic of what data breach is, we can unfortunately admit that there are still many unclarities. And just to give you a little bit more understanding of what I mean, let me provide
Please.
two examples, two most recent examples. The facts are roughly all the same. Just very simple situation when we have a set of data that company process, and this data appeared to be revealed by means of an email. So just human error, just email sent by mistake to a wrong recipient, and that is basically it. Both situations, the identical set of facts. And what we can see, just two DPAs, Italian DPA and Belgian DPA were involved. Two different companies, two different DPAs, two different countries. But what do? They come to a completely different conclusion, because Belgian DPA says that it's all okay. It was just a human error. There wasn't any mistake, any vulnerabilities in the company's infrastructure. There weren't any mistakes in implementing technical and organizational measures of Article 32 GDPR. So it's okay. It's not data breach. And what Italian DPA do is just issue a completely different decision. Italian DPA says it was a breach of security. It was insufficiency as regards implemented technical and organizational measures as per Article 32 GDPR, and this is a clear data breach. That's basically the fact. The similar set of facts, completely different decisions. And of course, this situation is very harmful as regards GDPR enforcement. As we all know, GDPR and European Data Protection Board promote uniform application of GDPR and the similar degree of understanding of the provisions. But the provisions, the example told you about illustrate how far we still are from the finish line, unfortunately. That's the idea.
But how can we deal when two give different inputs? The way that I understood if this data is very critical, there should be some rules that not everybody should access that data to be able to send via email. Am I wrong?
The decision issued by a Belgian DPA that said that it's just a human error and there is no data breach. This decision has been widely criticized by professional community and by privacy practitioner, as it appears to be in contradiction with GDPR of data breach and in contradiction with both Working Party 29 and UDPB clarifying documents guidelines. Both of them directly cite the examples of mistakenly sent emails as examples of data breaches. So it is totally unclear why Belgian Data Protection Authority decided otherwise. So in this case, when we deal with such situation, my strong advice for all the companies is to treat this incident as a data breach.
Yeah, if there is let's say this type of incident happened, data breach, what should we do?
We should treat it as a data breach, and when we face a data, we should do the same thing like in all other situations when we face it. I mean that good company must have in place an incident response program, a holistic program that a company needs to have in place when prevention fails, when data breach actually occurred. Basically, it includes training and awareness campaigns, it includes incident response plans, it includes proper work with stakeholders, insurance companies, if appropriate, and of course with vendors. because it's not a secret that we often face inappropriacies in work of vendors, data controllers engage. That's the problem. So I just referred to roughly 4 or 5 points, but the most important of this, of course, when data breach happened, is an incident response plan. And the borderline between success and failure is how incident response plan is actually implemented and brought to life.
Konstantin, I have another question, because when we started you talking about the trends about data privacy you foresee, can you please share with our audience what type of trends or what type of things do you expect to happen?
That's a very good question, actually. As they say, your expectations are problems, probably. But what are my personal expectations? What personally I expect and what personally I want to see in this 2021, perhaps, is of course more clarity with regard to notorious Schrems 2 framework. I guess it's a real pain for many privacy practitioners right now.
Is it difficult to understand? Is it because difficult to understand and interpret? Why?
It is because it's difficult to understand what actually to do. What we have now is just decision of the Court of Justice invalidating EU's privacy shield, separate qualification related papers from European Data Protection Board, coupled with recommendations 01/2020. And that is basically it now. And what is worse, the recommendations 01/2020 are still stuck in the version for public consultation, so we still don't have the final version of it, and actually we don't know what to expect. I've seen many questions that were sent to the EDPB in the course of public consultation stage, number of them, and it is still unclear how those questions and issues raised will be addressed by the EDPB. That's very interesting, and this is yet to be seen. I hope as soon as possible. What we can see now is that many companies, I see both SMEs and both global companies, they are taking wait-and-see approach, unfortunately, because they don't know what actually to do. And until recent times, there have been very few, if any, examples of enforcement of until recently, I said, because just a couple of months ago, we have seen an example. It was an awful example, I think, from the French court.
What happened?
And the most recent one from the German case of American-based sender called Meltem. But this is basically it when it comes to enforcement. So,
but what happened? What happened in France? Can you please tell us?
Yeah, what happened in France? There is a case of a company named Doctor and Amazon Web Service. I said it was an awful example of an application of Schrems 2 because what the court decided that in this case Schrems 2 rules are actually applicable despite the fact that there was no data transfer. It was enough for the court to bring this case for the realm of Schrems 2 just because of the fact that on web services was affiliate of a US-based company. As I said, there was no data transfer, it just was an engagement of a company, of a EU-based company that is American affiliate. It is not an inference from a Schrems 2 decision. I'm struggling to understand how the French court came to this weird conclusion. But here again, what we can see is legal precedent. What we can see is an attempt to impose further unrealistic obligation on data exporters. I said exporters, but it's, to a possible extent, because as I said, there's one transfer in this case.
How about Germany, the MailChimp?
In Germany, there is a little bit more understandable case from my point of view, because in this case, data transfer occurred. Personally, I think that the German case is very logical, because it is clear inference of the Schrems 2 decision, because it involved emails of data subject. These emails were transferred to US-based company, and this is why DPA decided that the rule of Schrems 2 should apply. That is understandable from a legal point of view. But I know that some colleagues, some other privacy practitioners think that this decision is insane because it was just an email, nothing more, so low risk data. So where are logical grounds to find Schrems 2 rules applicable in this case? I can understand this concern, of course, but at the same time, if we start to think as a lawyer, then we will understand that this decision is 100% based on Schrems 2 logic. But anyway, here again, contradictory examples, unclear logic of application, and this is why companies, as I said, both SMEs and global companies, this is why they are struggling. And I think that we'll continue to struggle until we see something clear from either EDPB or at least some national DPAs.
I hope to host you when there are other examples or when we have more clearance. Thank you very much for joining from St. Petersburg, Konstantin. Have a nice day.
Thank you, Sardar. Bye. Thank you, everyone.
Dr. Zero Show right now will join to Wales to Meltem ARIKAN, author Meltem ARIKAN. Thank you very much for joining, Meltem. How are you?
Oh, thank you. I'm very well, and it's a pleasure to be here with you.
Thank you very much for joining. I have a question to you because as an author, you have books and then you have plays and you have experience in writing for the last 25 years. You say that the way that we describe the reality is based on our past and our perception. Can you please tell me what do you mean? I mean, if there is a reality or there is a truth, I just thought that it has to be global truth or absolute reality.
How can you explain the truth? It's a truth. Look at the world, okay? Look at the whole world, how it is only chaos. Because we have in chaos, because a lot of people think this is the truth, and the other people say, no, it's not true. This is the truth. Or the others say, look, this is the reality. And I'm saying, no, this is the reality. So we haven't got really truth or reality. And because we don't know how we live in the present moment, okay? All our perception very, very busy with our past and future, our thought and our emotion. So when we experience something, let's say, okay, this is pen. You are just looking this pen, and I'm looking this pen. We are talking about this, okay? For example, I only see, let's say, in this part of the pen, because I hate black. I have a trauma, okay? I don't want to see black. But you're an engineer, and you just do a lot of drawing, so you focus in this part because it's very useful for you. Mm-hmm. And this is not here, and we are talking about, okay? And I'm saying, we just see a thing is a metal and small, and I'm not sure what it is. And you are saying, no, it's a pencil or it's a pen because I saw this little thing. And I say, no, it is not. Then we start arguing because we just focus different part of the whole things, because most of the time we don't like whole, even we believe we are seeing whole. Mm-hmm. When you're able to see everything is whole and naked, then you'll be in present. But we don't know this. It is a hardcore practice to see things like how they are or what they are. But we don't know because we always learn things, okay? They are just writing in our consciousness. For example, okay, a lot of people, gypsy people, they just afraid them. They think they are just not good people. But for example, for me, they are just playful. They are enjoyable. They are just connect with nature. So I trust them. But a lot of people don't trust them. Which is the truth? Which is the reality? How is we define about them? We can't. Because, when we born, we are just like a white paper. And then society, our family, school, is everything writing there. And they say, this is correct, this is wrong, this is true, this is reality. But if you born different country, this reality or this truth change totally. So we can talk about really what is real and what is the globally is reality.
But I have a question that if we cannot find what is real, what is the truth, how can we collaborate together? How can we work towards common good or better society? Because everybody will have different reality. So what is real, what is unreal?
Okay, think about a society, okay? Everybody think, I don't know things, okay? Because normally we know everything. I just believe I know a lot of things.
We
but
claim
now,
we claim that we know a lot of
claim,
things,
yeah.
isn't it?
But for example, it is the best thing to look at everything is just like a new. We don't know. We try to understand. If we try to understand the other people without all these name things, okay, all these
Labeling.
labeling, and then if they just take them, then you see real human being, and then you start understand or communicate with the real human being things. But otherwise, we just talk label, or we just talk the person label. Okay, we don't see the what is the behind the label. So I think if there are reality, it could be behind all these labeling things. But we don't know to see it because we are so blind. Even we are blind for ourselves. Because, for example, if you talk writer Meltem, she talk you differently. If you talk autistic Meltem, she just describe things differently. If you talk about mother Meltem, it's change. Okay, what is my reality? Which one is Meltem? So now what I understand, they are not Meltem. They are just a part of Meltem. But the Meltem is when you just let it go all these labels, when you just let it go what you learn from society, when it's just let it go or be acting, then you can find the what is reality. And look at, we just talk about reality, okay? We talk about to what is correct, what is wrong. But what we are doing as a human being, we always reject our negative parts. We just don't want to see us as a whole. Why we don't want to see anything as a whole? We just don't want to see if we don't like what we just see. So this is the problem. When we just accept everything in our inside, and then be able to accept everything, and then we try to understand the other people or the nature or the what is it, I don't know. Because when you accept yourself, then you understand you don't know anything, and you just open your heart, you just open your brain like a child to see and understand what is reality or what is real.
Isn't it hard not to put labels on people's face or when we talk about them? Because for me, if you just label them, label 1, label 2, label 3, then it is very easy to talk about them, because I already labeled them. I don't need to think. They are in a box that are labeled.
Definitely, it is very easy way to live, and you don't take any responsibility. It is very good, and just you accuse everything for other people, even it's everything about your life. This is so easy. What I am talking, it is really hard. You have to work for this every second moment, because it is so easy to go past or future or use label. But if you just always tell yourself, no, 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 it is not reality. Again, I'm using what I learned. Again, just I am acting what people wants to. How can I be act? So when you just stop all these things, then you'll able to see. So it is so hard. You have to work every second with yourself. If
Yes.
you want to change things, you just change yourself.
Well,
If you want to see reality, then you let it go what you learned.
yes, but the challenge there is, when you label, I just feel that it is an autopilot. If I can label, my life can continue autopilot. I don't need to think. Autopilot will decide many things for me. But if I take the wheels to drive, then it becomes very hard. I need to be aware. I need to make conscious decisions, which means I need to put a lot of effort on it. So what you're asking from people is to put much more effort, because the other one, former one, is much easier because somebody else helped me to put the label, somebody else helped me to decide what to put on the label, so my life is easier.
Definitely. So why now a lot of dictatorship is living happily? Because the people don't want to take their responsibility. They just want someone and to follow it. And it is so easy. If you just really, if we want to change this world, is the first we have to face our reality. And I think it starts, we have to admit we don't know anything. Anything. Just we are acting, we know.
So we don't know anything and we don't know anybody, because is it like this, like instead of putting labels like Meltem, to understand Meltem, maybe I shouldn't try to get the label that she's from Turkey or Middle East or Istanbul. I should try to understand who is Meltem. So do you mean that one?
Definitely, definitely. I just said this one. So just let it go all these labels and then see the people who really is. And it is a very interesting discovery, because then you discover not only that people, you discover a lot of things about yourself.
Yes, but in
Then
order to understand Meltem like this, then I need to let it go from my own perception and my own past too. Because if I still keep it, I am going to describe Meltem based on my part. So it is really hard
yes,
balance.
yes, first of all, you just let it go, your label, okay? So it is so nice for me, for example, just join this conversation and you are saying, oh, writer, author, Meltem ARIKAN, and I feel, oh, yes, I am writer, Meltem ARIKAN. But is being no
Isn't
one,
it?
it's not easy, okay? We just always want some label to feel good about ourselves. But when you just feel good about yourself without any label, when you just woke up, let's say in the morning, and everything is just the weather is bad, you don't feel very healthy, but even when you just look at the day, and if you feel happy and if you feel wow, thank you, and then just you don't need any label, then you can see everything like a child.
Thank you very much, Meltem, joining from Wales. It was great to talk to you. I hope I can host you again. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye. Dr. Zero Show right now will join to Finland, to Helsinki, and it is my pleasure to have Sharbel Dahlan as my guest. How are you, Sharbel?
Thank you. Thank you, Serdar. How are you doing? I'm great.
Fine. I just know that you work in IT industry. Can you please tell me what you do in Finland?
Well, I'm a software engineer in Finland, so I write code.
You write code. Wonderful. So you came to Scandinavia as a student, and can you please tell us your education experience, and I really want to hear, because there are many people who would like to study in Scandinavia, in Europe, what type of recommendations, suggestions that you want to give to the people.
Wow, amazing and very big question. Of course, there's a lot of things that students can do, whoever is aspiring to study in Scandinavia or in the Nordics. A bit about my background, maybe I'm born in Syria, and I've lived all my life in Dubai. And then when I finished my bachelor's, I briefly worked in Dubai, but then I wanted to apply and study in Europe. So I found a nice program. It's called EIT Digital. And basically in the program, you select two universities among like top universities in Europe, and you study something related to IT. And it also has a minor in entrepreneurship. So I selected Stockholm as my first year for studies, so KTH, Royal Institute of Technology, which I'm sure you're very familiar with. And then my second year, I chose Finland to study at Aalto University. I just
Why
actually
not another city? Like why Stockholm and Finland? Why not, I mean, Spain and Finland? You know, why not Italy and Spain?
Absolutely. This is also a very, very good question, and a very common one, because why choose two universities from the coldest countries in Europe? Actually, yeah, exactly. There was the chance to pick countries like Hungary, Spain, Italy, but I wanted to select like a program that I wanted to study. So I wanted to become a web developer, and certain universities provided that kind of like major. So there are different majors in this program that I joined, but you know, certain universities provide certain majors that you want to take. So I wanted to study like to become a web developer, and Aalto University provided hypermedia. Sweden was just that I had relatives there, so I thought it would be a soft onboarding for me in Sweden. So yeah, that's why Sweden and Finland. But actually, before I came to Finland, I didn't know much about it other than Nokia, and then my relative's wife is Finnish, but that's all.
But who doesn't know Nokia? Come on, everybody should know Nokia, especially my generation.
Exactly, yeah. These are the only things I knew, but then I found that, like, I knew before, but when I came to Finland, I realized there are a lot of gems that are hidden, or that later on became famous to the world. But yeah, you asked a big question about like aspiring, or let's say students or study abroad students, how can they thrive in the Nordics? I would say, like, there's one thing that I did, like in both countries, in both Finland and Sweden, and it's that I just took every opportunity to join any sort of event that there was. So events like hackathons, or like these pitching competitions, events related to startups. So yeah, I came to do my master's to Europe in 2015, and there was a lot of events around startups, pitching, and such, and a lot of hackathons as well. And I didn't have the skills, I didn't think that I would go and do well in any of these, but I don't think that's the point, that you need to have to be like a skilled software developer to join a hackathon or anything. That's, in fact, in such events, you get your experience, and the whole goal is to build your network and build your connection.
Can you please elaborate on it? Because usually tendency that, there is this hackathon, but I am not software developer, or I don't know that domain. Maybe it is better I sit home and never go there. Or how is it like to go to this type of events like hackathons or entrepreneurial meetups? How is it?
Well, usually, like, when you're studying, you get a lot of, like, you see a lot of posters about those events on social media, or like real life posters on paper, and then it depends. Like, different hackathons have different formats. Some of them require that you have a certain idea and then you join with a team. Some of them are just like more free. So like you join without an idea in mind, without a team in mind. And maybe they have one theme or something.
Mm-hmm.
So there are a lot of these events that do not require you to start from anywhere other than the interest. You just need to have the interest, and it could be just the mere curiosity. You don't need to have any sort of experience. So I think like it comes natural when you're new to a country, you don't know anybody. You're like, what is there to lose? Let me just go. Chances are you will find a lot of people that are in the same situation as you, and that's what happened to me. Like a lot of the friends that I formed were friends that I found in those events, and they had like you'd be surprised how much similar backgrounds you have with other people. So
You know, when you told me what can you lose, it is like this, it is new country. I have no reputation. Let's go there. So you lose nothing.
absolutely, like yeah, no, zero reputation, nobody knows you, and it's like I think that really comes with of course the idea is a bit scary, like oh I have zero things here, zero social capital and all of that, but then that also means positive things, that it makes you more daring to explore things, I feel. Yeah.
Is it like this that you can actually recreate yourself because you are now right now outside of all the boundaries that you had in your hometown or in your previous education? Now it is time to recreate with a new role in the society, in IT or for the future. So you don't need to be stuck with the past limitations.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm trying to think, like, for example, for me, perhaps it's not the perfect example of totally changing my career or something, because I did my bachelor's in computer engineering, and now I'm working as a software engineer. So it's not, it is basically in my track. But yeah, when I did my bachelor's, let's say I didn't have much technical experience, and I don't think like it's natural when you graduate, you're just, all the experience that you have is from the projects that you've done. So I truly believe that what made it for me, or where I am at now in my career, is due to my presence in such events rather than purely my background. So, so yeah, it could sometimes make it or break it. I mean, for example, like the one, like sort of the kickstart of my software engineering career was because I joined an event, or I was hanging out in a space where like this startup community hangs out in Finland, and I met somebody who introduced me to their supervisor, and I became their colleague, and their supervisor became my supervisor. So yeah, it was just that, hey, meet this person. You are from the community. He is from the community. You both know this programming language. Why don't you talk? Sometimes it's just that, rather than whatever traditional way you might think of. Of course, I had applied to a lot of jobs. This story is like almost 4 years ago now, but I was applying to a lot of jobs without much conversion. But then it was these kind of events that made me get to the interview level, and that's what made it for me.
Is it like this that it is not what you know, it is who you know? So in order to know right people, you need to go to this type of events.
I would say, well, mostly, but of course, it you have to also know a bit like the technical side, of course. So yeah, it's not just what you know, I guess. Yeah, it is also who you know. Is how I would a bit edit that sentence that you said. Because yeah, I think like, and that's what a lot of the students, or all the students have. I mean, there is a reason why they are abroad, they're studying. Obviously, they know something. Everybody knows something. But yeah, it's always about, or a lot of times it's about the power of connection with people.
What type of other advices would you give for the students, prospective students that are planning to come to Scandinavia?
Well, a lot depends on what you're looking for. Life-wise, wear a lot of layers. It's cold in here. I'm sure you know that part. For me, for example, the darkness in the dark times, it can be really puts you in a sad mood a little bit. So what helped me is to travel back and see family and see friends. So yeah, try to take the extra mile to be active and make more friends, because that's what really made me survive all of these dark winters here. So that's a general sort of living
But
advice.
how do you cope? Like okay, you have friends, but when it is dark, what do you do? Do you open lights? Like mine is like this. I open all the lights at home so I don't feel the darkness of outside. And now I start to see why Swedish people like so many lights in front of their windows or inside home. So how do you cope with it?
Yeah, good that you mentioned this. Yeah, I mean, I try. I guess if I look at my room, there are more lights than I guess I am used to in my life before living in the Nordics. So yeah, I guess lights is part of it. The other one that helps also is going out. But I wouldn't say that I'm successful at that, because yeah, in principle, yes, try to at least go outside the house once a day in those really wintry times. But a lot of times I just stay at home. So I guess your question, how do I cope, is I would say, do I really cope? And I would say a lot of times I fail to cope. But yeah, I think like really what I found helped me the most is when I book some trip, even if it's like in the remote future, but just like the hope that okay, I'm going to go to this place, I'm going to meet the people I love, so it's gonna be better. So hope, booking something that gives you some hope, like some trip, and also like seeing friends and social activities.
Thank you very much. I would like to have you again to talk about what do you suggest to future software developers. Have a nice day. Greetings to Finland.
For sure. Thank you so much, Dr. Zero, and lovely to chat with you.
Hi, I hope you had a great time at Dr. Zero Show, and if you want other people to hear it, please follow me at Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Don't forget to follow Reportare, and don't forget to follow Dr. Zero Show. If you have any suggestions, recommendations, please get in touch with me. I will be glad to communicate with you and listen what you suggest. See you. Bye.